What's up guys, welcome to Voicey here. This is your host, Captain Zach, and today's subreddit is r/ProRevenge. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. This story's called, My Worst Customer Ever. So a couple of years ago, I had a guy that emailed me back and forth for months. He was pretty cool but picky beyond belief and couldn't decide on what he wanted. Finally, he ordered this ultra deluxe 4-player arcade machine wrapped in Star Wars graphics. He spared no expense, spending $3,000 plus $220 shipping. The machine arrives in Melbourne 5 days later, and he calls me up losing his crap. It's been damaged by the freight company. I send everything fully insured, so I assured him it was okay. He's covered. Please send me the pics of the damage. It was only very slight, nothing cosmetic, but the console was a little dislodged as they must have stacked something heavy on it. I assured the customer it could be fixed. I'll contract a cabinet maker to come out to him and repair it at my expense. Then I'll go through insurance later. Nope, he didn't want that. So I said, okay, I'll arrange for a collection and have it brought back to me, and I'll issue him a full refund, including freight. Nope, he didn't want that either. Okay, I said. What would make you happy then? It's something easy to fix. Perhaps I can pay you what I'd pay the contractor, about $250, and you can fix it? Nope. He wanted a full refund and he wanted to keep the machine too. I said that won't happen. Insurance won't allow it as the damage is tiny. It's like car insurance. They won't write off the whole car for minor damage that can be fixed. He didn't care. He wanted a refund. I said they won't do it, and I certainly won't pay out of pocket. Either I'll arrange collection of the unit at my expense and issue a refund to him, or we have it repaired. Nope. He paid via PayPal and he's putting through a dispute because the item didn't arrive as described. I advised him that PayPal's rules also state that in order to get a refund, he'll need to show proof that he'd sent the item back or arranged with the sender to have it collected. Nope. He's keeping it and getting a refund. So I advised him that what he was committing was fraud and theft. Also, PayPal will freeze the $3,220 in my account, and I'm not at fault here. That's what PayPal does, you see. If anyone lodges a dispute, they automatically freeze the funds in the seller's account. It's guilty until proven innocent with them. It can also take up to 90 days to resolve, sometimes 6 months. I know, it's happened before. He didn't care. The next thing I knew, I had a notification from PayPal. The funds were frozen pending the dispute. The next step is stating your case to them, providing evidence, etc., where they relay the info back and forth between the buyer and seller. PayPal always sides with the buyer. Sellers are a piece of crap as far as they're concerned. If it can't be resolved between buyer and seller, then you can opt to have PayPal decide. But their decision is absolute. I provided my transcripts advising the customer that I'd collect the item and refund him, and he provided them with a fake pickup receipt. As far as they knew, he's done his part, now he's eligible, so they ruled in his favor. So this effer now has his money back and my $3,000 machine. I was fuming and he wouldn't answer my calls or emails. I'm a big guy and I had a rough upbringing in a tough neighborhood. So I was about to jump into my truck and drive the 900 kilometers south, knock on his door, and watch him crap himself as I repossess my machine. But my wife, being the voice of reason, calmed me down and said to try legal avenues first. Coincidentally, he emails me 3 days later and says the computer in the machine stopped working. I replied, "Which freaking planet do you live on where you steal an item then complain it doesn't work?" I laughed out loud and he said he had an IT guy. A few days later, after that, I get a call from a guy saying that his friend bought an item and the hard drive is dead. It was his IT guy, and I don't think he knew the whole story. I asked him to find the serial number, it's just the date it was built and the iteration. For example, 231-220-1901. He read the number out and I said, "Oh, it's in warranty, send it back and I'll send a fresh new one." He bought it and sent it back. Now note that he said the hard drive disk was dead. That's a good thing. If it had been the computer, he could just use anything else and use the hard drive disk as a backup. But since it was dead and now I had his computer too, he has to buy a new system, which would set him back at least $450, but he still couldn't play games on it. You can download the apps, but there's a ton of configuration work and button mapping, etc. IT guy calls me a few days later asking for the computer, and I told him the story and nope, he can go screw himself. He also laughed out loud and asked how hard it could possibly be to just download crap. See, what he didn't know is that I have a little failsafe built in. The encoder I use isn't mapped to the default keys on the apps. I changed everything around on the hardware to stop people trying to just clone it. It's not hard to get around, but most people aren't familiar with the nuances of emulators. Inevitably, I get another call a few days later from a different guy saying he'd built his own machine but couldn't get it working. The symptoms were exactly that of trying to get my controls working on a different system. It was definitely the IT guy fishing. I played dumb and said, I didn't know, sorry. Now this guy had an empty, useless cabinet, so he left me a 1-star review on Google. It's since been removed, but it read something like, "Poor quality build, flimsy, system didn't work, do not buy from these people." I was about to jump into my truck again and drive down to that love-making face. But again, my wife is like a bucket of ice water on my fire. So I wrote a long letter to PayPal attaching all of my evidence of his fraud. Then I responded to the 1-star review with the attachments to the emails and his admission to committing the fraud. Then I displayed his name and email address to smoke him out. He immediately called and said, "Look, no hard feelings, okay? But I received a damaged item and I'm entitled to compensation. Remove my details." He was getting spammed relentlessly, but he seriously believed he did nothing wrong. I told him he can go screw himself and to enjoy his useless machine. I was still burning though. I forgot about it after a few weeks. PayPal didn't respond, so I cut my losses and moved on. But then something beautiful happened. It's as though the universe aligned and said, "Hey, OP, we're not going to crap on you today. Here, take this gift on a silver platter." I was on eBay looking for old, non-working machines I can buy and refurb. There's good money to be made doing that. A one-day refurb can pull in over $1,000 profit. He's listed my machine, but contrary to his Google review, the description was marvelous hand-built arcade cabinet, built by a master carpenter, flawless finishing quality, missing computer. Good for a DIY project. I'm not a carpenter, by the way. He had it listed for $1,100. That was still $1,100 pure profit to him since he got it free. I bought it under my wife's account and had it delivered to my home address. When I sent it, it was wrapped in about a 4-inch thick layer of bubble wrap. When it arrived, it had a flimsy single layer less than 5 millimeters thick. The courier who dropped it off was the same guy who picked it up for me. We were good friends and he knew the story. So I said I was going to damage it, make it look serious, but nothing I can't fix in a few minutes. He agreed and said that he'd log the damage as due to insufficient packaging. Insurance won't cover it. I knocked the panels out from inside so it looked like the machine had been crushed. Realistically, I only had to reset the screws and it was good as new, but it looked mangled. Then I sent Melbourne Richard Head the pics and complained about the damage. He said it was insured. I advised him that the courier said it was insufficiently packaged and that it's not covered. I want a refund, take this back. I knew he wouldn't take it back, it was totally useless to him. He said he didn't want it and he'll refund the freight. I said, nope, I can't do anything with a damaged machine. If he doesn't do anything, I'm filing a PayPal dispute under item not as described. He wasn't happy, played the victim and played on my sympathy, still not realizing who I was. Eventually, after offering me partial refunds and getting rejected, he relented and told me to keep it and he'd refund me in full. He must have realized that his greed wasn't worth it and it cost him nothing. So now I had my machine back and I was happy this was over with. Still pissed at this guy's audacity, but that's not the end though. It gets better. It gets deliciously better. Someone at PayPal Business had finally read my complaint. Since I do a lot of work through PayPal under a business account, there's a kind of concierge service, although not really, kind of like a priority service. They actually went through my complaint, verified that his pickup docket was actually a year old and unrelated, and read the transcripts of him intending to keep the machine and get a refund. They refunded my money in full. Now I had my machine back and $3,000 of his money, and he couldn't do crap because he got caught for fraud. Can't dispute crap if you got caught being dishonest. He called me up losing his crap. I laughed and said, "Sorry, mate, it's karma. It's purely up to my goodwill to refund you. Go suck a doorknob." He pleaded and begged, swore a lot, pleaded more, and I said, "I'll think about it." Legally, he had no leg to stand on, but I have scruples. I donated it all to charity on his behalf. I sent him the receipt. He lost his crap some more, but now there were kids with food and clothes because of his douchebagness. Go eat a schlong, Michael. Yeah, I hate PayPal. It's come into clutch for me a couple times, but oh gosh, I was trying to sell, I think I've told this story before, but I was trying to sell a thing and it ended up being broken and before I could send it. And so I refunded the buyer his money, but then he also filed a dispute. And so it took the money from my bank account as well as the money from my PayPal account. So I was out money. Like I was in the negative from this transaction and they still haven't fixed it. Screw you, PayPal and eBay. You're jerks. Give me my money back. Like $100, dude. This story's called "Today I Fudged Up by Trying to Spare My Wife and Saying Her Cooking Was Great." Happened yesterday. The fallout happened about an hour ago. My wife likes to cook, and under normal circumstances, she is a good cook. Not what I would call skilled, but she has no problems making everything you can think of. But she is far from confident. She gets really discouraged when she tries making something and screws it up, and I hate that. So she's making Christmas treats for coworkers, parties, etc. She has this little signature Christmas treat she makes with club crackers, caramel, chocolate, and marshmallow that is a massive hit. Anyway, one of her friends asked her last week to make some of those for their Christmas party this weekend, and she agreed to bring some with her. It was a work-related thing, so I wasn't planning on going. He called yesterday and added something new that she had never made before: chocolate bourbon balls. She agreed that she would love to give them a try, and said she would bring those as well. I didn't know any of this. This is key to the story. I knew she was going to a party. That's it. So last night, she's slaving away in the kitchen and comes out with a little plate with one of the bourbon balls and asked me to try it. It looked amazing. Milk chocolate little ball of awesomeness. She said it was alcohol-free though. She works in recovery and most people she works with are either in the field or recovering alcoholics. And I bit into one. My taste buds first hit the chocolate, which was awesome. But quickly, this wave of something over the top smacks me in the face. She immediately keyed in on my reaction. "What? Is it not good?" I could immediately see the disappointment in my wife's face, and I had to man up. She had worked for hours on these things, multiple trips to the store. I just couldn't do it. "This is awesome. What's in it? Is it almonds?" She had a huge sigh of relief. "Yes, it's almond extract. The recipe they sent me said to substitute that for the bourbon." I take another bite. I'm determined to power through this, so I down the rest of the thing. The taste is overpowering. My eyes start watering. "What's wrong?" I swallow as quickly as possible to get the taste out of my mouth, almost half choking, which I immediately use to my advantage. Must not have chewed that one all the way. Had something stuck in my throat. "Oh, okay." And she gets a big smile and turns to head back to the kitchen, pleased with her work. I figured I would slowly chuck them into the trash can over the course of the week or something so I wouldn't have to endure that again. 'Cause it was potent. It hurt. My stomach was in knots for the rest of the night. She asked me this afternoon if I would like another bourbon ball. I say no and ask for the other goodies she made as I hadn't had any. She said she didn't have any extra and I'd have to wait till she made some for our family on Tuesday, Christmas Eve. I go on about my day, getting a few things done around the house, preparing for people to come over. She finally runs off to get ready to head to her Christmas work party. As she is about to leave, she kisses me bye and says she'll be home around 10:30 or so. and tells me there are leftovers in the fridge. So she takes off, and me and the dogs kick back on the couch and catch up on some TV. Dinner time rolls around, and I head into the kitchen to warm up the leftover casserole she had in the fridge. And then I see it. The freaking bourbon balls are gone. Oh God, what have I done? I sat there contemplating for a bit. Should I call her and tell her I lied to her and there is something wrong with them? I just panicked. Eventually, I hung all my hopes on maybe it was just the one that was screwed up. Surely she tried one and it must have been okay, right? I kept telling myself this over and over. Shortly after 8:45, my wife calls. It wasn't just the one. The scene she described was something out of a horror movie. 2 people had vomited heavily in the middle of the party. She was covered in vomit, and the place was a disaster. She needed me to read her off the ingredients as they were rushing 2 people to the hospital. Holy crap. Everyone has now been checked out, and all are okay. It reacts to different people differently apparently, and the doctors were apparently concerned at first about the amount of arsenic they may have consumed. Apparently there can be arsenic in almond extract. I had no idea. But everyone has been checked out fine and all is back to normal. We quickly discovered the issue. I guess she didn't understand that extract is more of a concentrate. You don't match up measurements to use it as a replacement for something. The recipe called for 1 cup of bourbon. She had put in something around a cup of almond extract into her concoction. Update. To answer a couple of massively repeated questions, she intentionally purchased alcohol-free extract. It's a thing. She didn't try them because she hates bourbon and didn't think she would like them regardless. I love it, which is why she had me taste them. And also why this is my screw-up and not posted in Today My Wife Screwed Up. We had a long talk. We've been married almost 15 years, so this is something we've learned to do well. I can honestly say I've never done this before. I've never disliked anything she made, ever. I've suggested ways to improve some things in the past, add salt here, try this, etc., but I've honestly never had this issue. There is nothing else my wife makes that I will not eat. I've agreed to never let this happen again, and she's agreed to grow a thicker skin about her cooking. We came out better from the experience, so it's a positive. She did tell me cyanide, not arsenic. I just remembered poison and thought that was what she had told me. There was a doctor at this party, several actually, that once were told what had happened, knew that may be an issue, which is why they rushed those people to the hospital. They clearly said it was just precautionary, and had they not had the horrific reactions that some had, they wouldn't have been terribly concerned, as each one of those balls would have been far from any sort of lethal dose. First things first, we gotta appreciate that these guys are obviously a good couple. Like, they talked through it and they've figured out how to improve as people. That's just admirable. Because nobody in these stories ever wants to talk to anyone about anything, really. But wow, that's quite the screw up there. I'm still shocked that she used a cup of almond extract. You guys realize, I watch a lot of the Holiday Baking Championship on Hulu with Duff Goldman. That guy's a great guy. Anyways, this person used like maybe half a teaspoon of almond extract into his batter, and the judges were like, oh my gosh, you used way too much extract, this isn't even edible. And yeah, you gotta use extracts by like the drop, okay? A cup of extract, oh, I couldn't even imagine. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.